In this video, we're going to talk about marketing. I'm going to talk about my top lessons of marketing, some of the fundamentals that you need to know if you want to be a successful marketer and if you want your message to reach out there. And that is literally point number one. Why do we do marketing? Marketing is a fundamental act of empathy. More technically, theory of mind from a neuroscience standpoint, but empathy. What it is people have all sorts of distractions. They're there on TikTok, they're scrolling cat videos, they are looking at Netflix, they are roaming around in the world, distracted with their headphones and news and stimulus. And maybe you have something that will help them. Maybe you are selling a health product. Maybe you're selling something to do with wellness. Maybe you have a smart intellectual course. Maybe you wrote a brilliant article. Why should people care? We are not entitled to people's attention. And marketing is really this act of great empathy. We want to be there for people where they are at and then take them on a journey with us which will improve their lives. Now, personally, I really am not interested in the strategy and learning Facebook ads or something like that. That to me is like, But what is is the act of reaching people, is the act of service and understanding that I'm not entitled to people's attention. If I want them to check my stuff out, then I have to meet them where they are at. I can't be like, I just create this great product and people just come check it out. No, I want to go and understand them and talk their language and speak their words and master where they are at so that I can help them live a better life. Now, for me, I'm not offering anything. It's mostly just, check out my podcast, that kind of stuff. But if you are offering something that will positively change their lives, then it is your duty and responsibility to market. This is actually my pet peeve with academia, where I spend most of my time, where people do phenomenal work. It's such good work. In cognitive neuroscience and decision making, the work has been mind-blowing. And yet, you might just know maybe one or two things about it. And the reason for that is academics don't tend to emphasize a lot of marketing and spreading their word. They tend to work on their research and they're phenomenal at it. But if you look at any other business which relies on revenue to survive, they can't skip marketing. Because academia has this grant system, somehow we can skip it. But I truly believe if we want to do public service, then we have to master marketing and we have to master speaking the message. So number one was empathy. Point number two is knowing funnels. Now, funnels are just this idea that people are all over the place and they may check your stuff out, they may or may not check your podcast out. And then we don't want just like a one point of contact and then just going away. There's a study done by Google that the average person needs about 12 points of contact before they do business with you or form a relationship with you. So we want people to come into our world, but we somehow want to capture them. We want to capture their name and email, or they should subscribe or something like that. And this gets to the idea of creating a funnel. You need to know what happens to a person who comes and indicates interest in your stuff. So for me, my ideal funnel is they go into my email list, and that's where I give the real stuff. That's where I send my best stuff, and that's where I really keep my most engaged audience. A funnel can eventually lead to a sale. Again, I'm not selling anything, but a funnel can do that. And so really, if you want to master marketing, then you have to understand and market funnels. Think of a bottle that's sprayed all over the place. Like if you have some liquid coming out of it. But if you channelize it through a funnel, then it will go right at the spot where you want it to. And people's attention is like that. People's attention is all over the place, and then you want to channelize that and let it come into a funnel. So sales funnel or marketing funnels are something that you should understand and master. Point number three that you should understand and master is calls to actions. This will increase your retention rate by so much. Now, what are calls to actions? They are really simple. They're just like asking people to do what you want them to do. So for me, go and subscribe to my email list. That's the best stuff. That's a call to action. Of course, you have to come with enthusiasm and charge. Why would people check out things that you yourself are kind of bleh about? But assuming you have something interesting to sell or show, then ask people to check it out. Again, the attention span on the internet is all over the place. So if you want people to do something, then you have to understand and implement calls to action. Okay, the next point is understanding the mental triggers of scarcity, authority, and social proof. So scarcity is this idea that we take decisions when we feel that the resources are scarce. So that's where all your deadlines come in, which is like just buy this product today or you'll lose your discounts. Limited time discount, exclusive discounts, all of these are hitting the mental trigger of scarcity. And I think that scarcity should be more like a spice. That's Daniel Priestley's phrasing, by the way. So I think scarcity should be more like a spice rather than a main course. So if your message is just splattered with scarcities, then there's a negative feeling that can come from it as the consumer. But if you do have a skillful use of scarcity, and if you genuinely mean that, like if you genuinely close your offers, which I recommend you do, then scarcity can be a powerful mental trigger to get people to take action. The other trigger is authority. Now, some of you may know that I am a PhD student in psychology at Oxford. Now, notice what happens when I say that before giving a psychology talk, or before saying something about emotions, before saying something about friendships and decision making, which is something I'm deeply interested in. I study all the time. It probably makes your ears open and you're paying a bit more attention, right? And the reason for that is because there's some authority that it establishes. Now, you don't need to be at Oxford, you don't need a fancy degree. There are many other ways of establishing authority, content being one of them. So if you're publishing newsletters, if you're publishing blog posts, if you're publishing anything really, books especially, it's not a coincidence that the word author and the word authority have the same roots. That's because people who are usually publishers are usually the ones who get a lot of people buying from them and wanting their time and attention. So do not ignore the authority trigger and understand it deeply. And the final trigger is social proof. And these are your Amazon 5-star reviews. When's the last time when you bought from Amazon and you did not check what's the reception for that? How many people have bought it before you? How many reviews are there? And Trustpilot and stuff like that. And the reason for that is we buy things that other people have bought. So that's the idea of social proof, which is another important marketing and sales trigger that you need to understand if you want to influence people, and if you want people to buy from you or check out your stuff. The next thing you need to understand is abundance. And this is true not just for marketing and sales, but it's also true for dating. It's true for your job interviews. It's true for anything where if you want people to select you in some way. And this is this idea of abundance. People like to do business or date or select for a job. People who are abundant, people who seem needy, on the other hand, are not as, we feel like a natural repulsion when we sense neediness in someone. If you see that someone is, desperately just trying to sell you so that they can take care of their family, you may give them your money, you may date them, or you may give them job out of pity, but that's not a very healthy relationship, and we have a natural aversion to that. But if you see and sense that people are coming from a position of abundance, when they have the mindset that they have a lot and they have many opportunities, then we are much more likely to buy from them, to date them, to select them for a job. And so abundance is this idea that I will get, let's say if you're applying for a job, I will get some job. And I feel confident in my ability in that. It's mostly inner work and inner game. And I again invite you to check out my podcast. But abundance is also a trigger that you should understand. Check out the book Oversubscribed if you're interested more in abundance, by the way. And the final thing I'm going to talk about to wrap is this idea of trust. Now, people ultimately buy from people who they know, like, and trust. Trust is this whole framework. It's the fundamental idea around which the whole concept of personal branding is based. Now, you may have trust even for brands, but that's why you see a lot of brands now advocating people. So if you see Nike has Michael Jordan or Cristiano Ronaldo, you may see that many brands are using influencers for their marketing. And the reason for that is because people trust people trust real faces and real humans. And people are more likely to do business or anything really, any trade, even if it's more personal like friendships, with people we trust. And so that's a psychological concept that you absolutely must understand if you want to understand personal branding, if you want to understand influence. You have to understand the trust psychological trigger, and you have to understand the importance of therefore putting yourself out there. So if you are like that entrepreneur who's just like putting a logo out there and you are nowhere on video, you don't write emails, then probably you're missing out on the trust trigger. And maybe if you have that direct connection with your audience or your customers, maybe they will like you more, and maybe they'll buy from you more, or they'll check out more of your stuff. So if you trust me, do check out my podcast, and do check out my Instagram. That's actually my main social media right now, and it's all for free. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to serve you with health, emotional intelligence, and technology. Thank you. See you in the next video.